Relationally, they were pretty good, but just as a spiritual group, they were sick. I've seen that in churches, y'all. I've seen that in churches where you had some wonderful people that loved each other, and individually, they were great. Every one of them, great people. But in a group, there was something spiritually wrong. There was just something not quite right there. And spiritually, there can be pain that you can't turn your back on. This happened with Jesus and Mary and Martha. Look at this, where Jesus says it. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb, right? It was a cave, and a stone had been laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. But Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there's a bad odor, for he has been there for 4 days. And Jesus, if you'd have been there, you could have done something. And Jesus wants to do something. You go, don't do that. You ever say, I wish you'd do something, God. Then God starts to go, well, don't do that. You know, don't do that. Do something else. Jesus, he's been dead for 4 days. You know what the King James Version says? He's been dead for 4 days. 4 days. He stinketh. I love King James. Just add that TH onto anything, and it sounds profound. He stinketh by now. Okay? So there's an odor. Don't do this. What is? It's a crisis of faith. She's not quite trusting Jesus. Jesus said, he didn't show up when she expected him to. And now that he's starting to do something, well, he may get this wrong too. I don't know if you've ever done that with God or not. He didn't get one thing right. Now he starts to move in your life. Well, he may mess that up too. I better go over here and help him out. Straighten it out. And that's a crisis of faith, where she's not quite trusting that something's going to happen. And whatever happens, she's not okay with it. She's got to get to that place in her life where she's okay with what God does, and she's not there. And there is this spiritual pain that's going on. Now, in the future weeks to come, we're going to talk more about how to really kind of move with the Spirit as the Spirit leads and guides us, and how to alleviate or how to lessen the frequency of spiritual pain. But the fact is, spiritual pain comes. Now, the last point I really want to make today is that some pain needs to be avoided, and some pain needs to be embraced. Some pain needs to be avoided, and some pain needs to be embraced. The first type is this. If you have a pain, if the pain won't help you grow, then you need to avoid it. If the pain won't help you grow, there's something that you need to avoid. Maybe there's some past mistake that you've made. Some past thing where you did something stupid or said something stupid, and you've forgiven yourself and you've corrected that. And yet sometimes you just play that old tape in your head. We can have these tapes in our head almost, and it just re-records things. I mean, you ever said anything stupid? I've been a preacher for a long time now. It's unbelievable the number of stupid things I've said. I mean, and I can go back and remember things I said in sermons and just go, golly, I just can't believe I said that. Can't believe that happened. And there can be these old tapes that come up, and just you can get down on yourself. And there can be past mistakes that you made in a relationship. And it can be tempting, maybe the person you love, they made a past mistake, and you've dealt with it. But it's tempting to bring that past thing back up, and it's not going to help you or them grow at all. That's something that's already been said and done. And yet you bring it back up, usually because you're losing an argument, right? That's usually when folks bring up past stuff, is when they're in an argument and they're losing. Oh, I better bring that up. It's one of the rules around for us, for me and my kids, and for my wife and I. Old stuff does not get brought back up. It's against the rules. It doesn't help. So if there's some past pain that you've dealt with, you've already dealt with the issue, forgiveness has been given, then don't go there anymore. That's been done. Okay? Steer around that. That's not the issue that's at hand. But there's another kind of pain. It's the pain that if it'll help you grow, you've got to embrace it. You've got to go there. You've got to figure out, how can I go back and embrace the pain that's there? We got a lot of folks that are part of AA and NA. And, one of the things that they say in AA is it's not so much the alcohol that people can't handle, it's the sobriety. It's the sobriety that's so hard. And so people who are alcoholics abuse alcohol. They actually started abusing alcohol really to avoid some pain, that they didn't want to go there. And for most of their lives, the alcohol wasn't a problem. They only have to start dealing with alcohol once the alcohol starts breaking down relationships, or it starts breaking them down physically. And then they got to go back and deal with that first stuff. So all the alcohol does is really delay dealing with painful things that are there, whether it's things from your childhood, responsibilities that you avoid. I know a lot of people, that can be something for me. There's some responsibility I need to step up to. And man, sometimes those responsibilities can be difficult. You just don't want to do it. And that's avoiding pain. And there's a time to man up. There's a time to be a grown up. There's a time not to be a little girl about things, but to be a grown woman. There's a time to be not a little boy about things, but a grown man. And you've got to go and hit that head on. And so there's things that you have to embrace and go through it, because there's peace on the other side. I'm telling you, there's peace on the other side. If pain is a gift from God, then addressing the pain that's there in appropriate ways gets us on the other side, and there is growth there. There's growth there. And so there may be some kind of pain that you've been avoiding because you may feel all alone in it. And you don't have to be. You don't have to be all alone in your pain. Look at this next slide. These are tear cups. A lot of people in the West don't realize that these things exist. But in Jesus' day, and actually before Jesus' day, in the Middle East, people would actually keep their tears in tear bottles, okay, or tear cups. And these are some examples of tear cups. They're usually about this big, something like that. Can be a little longer. And the people believed that tears were so precious because you cried when someone you loved died. So those tears are precious. You cried in celebration of some great thing happening. So tears were precious. People would keep tears. And they would have them. They'd put them by their bed. And those tears were precious to people.